If you're running ads to fill call calendars for info products, high ticket sales, masterclasses, webinars, you name it, but if you're running ads to fill salespeople's calendars, this video is for you. And I'm gonna break down some of the biggest problems that I see when I audit ad accounts, come into new businesses, help them, consult them to fix their sales call booking process from ads. And I'm gonna show you in real time on my computer what you can do to fix it, to be more efficient, and to make more money back from the ads that you're already running. So let's get into it. All right, so to start off with, what we're talking about here is basically a typical VSL funnel where we have an ad, we can click in, you see a video, a piece of content, and you can book a call. And usually here, there's going to be a little bit of conditional logic where some people can successfully book a call because they're qualified. Other people cannot because they're not qualified for your offer. They might go to a different confirmation page. It's like, hey, thank you, downsell, whatever. But for the people who are qualified, they go to a thank you page, they confirm their booking, and then ideally, whenever their call takes place, they hop on a call with a salesperson and the salesperson closes the deal, right? In theory, this seems very simple, but what I notice a lot of times when people are running ads to these funnels is that there are several pieces of the puzzle that can get overlooked. And so I actually created a tool for this. It's not ready for the public yet, so you can't access this tool quite yet, but this call volume dashboard I created to kind of solve some of the issues that I see with high ticket funnels, especially ones that have big sales floors. So what we can do here in this call volume tracker is we can basically tell this how many sales reps we have. So for this example, let's start a little bit smaller and let's go 4 sales reps, right? So we're gonna go down to 4, and let's say that each sales rep takes 6 calls a day. That's pretty average. Maybe they're 45-minute inbound calls, right? For the sake of our example, we'll name our reps here. So we got Mark. Mark doesn't take calls on the weekend. We've got Tony. Tony doesn't take calls on the weekend either. We've got Laura. Laura does take calls on the weekend, and we've got Bob, and Bob does not take calls on the weekend. So we'll push next. And then here, this is pretty, I would say step 1, if you're running paid marketing, you need to think about how much are you paying to book a call? Because what we're going to do is project out how much we need to spend in order to fill calendars for all of the people that we just added into our sales floor. So if we spend, let's say $200 to get a booked call, meaning not a showed call, but a booked call, I'm going to put that here at 200. And then I want to designate what our no-show and cancel rate is. So for a lot of paid offers, they're sitting somewhere around a 50% no-show rate. For this, I'm gonna put this at a 40%. Ideally, you can get your no-show rate to 30, 20% from paid. Now, if you're like, hey, that's terrible, you might be running warm traffic. Warm traffic, you're gonna see that be better. But ultimately, let's just say that we're getting a 40% no-show rate, so a 60% show rate here. And then let's say we are selling a $7,500 high ticket program straight on the phones. So I'm gonna go next. Now, this is the first piece that I think people do not think about very often. And I wanna shout out Aaron Platt, because he talks a lot about this. It's something that a couple years ago, I remember talking to him about, and it changed the way that I think about rep performance as well. So what I think you need to take into account is that not all sales reps perform equally. Some close better than others. That's pretty common knowledge. But what people don't think about is how much money they're leaving on the table by paying $200 for a call in this example and giving those calls to every rep at the same level. So if you give 10 calls to Mark and 10 calls to Tony, and Mark closes better than Tony, what is the opportunity cost of the money you could have made if Mark took all of those calls? Likewise, what is the opportunity cost if Tony just closed better? And so that's what this tool is designed to do. So for example, let's just say that everybody gets paid 12% commission. Okay, so first we're just going to adjust that to 12%. I just want to see how those numbers shake out. Second, right now we have everybody closing at 20%, and these are showed calls, right? So the close rate of calls that actually show up. So we're going to take out the 60% or the 40% that don't show. We're going to keep the 60% that do show. And I'm going to say that Mark is a killer. He closes, let's say 35% of the guys who show up. Tony's at 20%. Let's say Laura's at 25%, and poor Bob is only closing at 5% right now, but we're still paying him a 12% commission. I'm going to push save. Now, what you'll notice first off the bat on this tool, this is the very first thing that a lot of call floors overlook, which is I'm projecting out the next week typically when I'm pulling these numbers. So when I'm projecting, I'm thinking, hey, next week, how much do we need to be spending daily to fill sales calendars? From a paid media team perspective, which is what we do at AdClass, it's extremely important to me that I'm on the same page with the sales team and that they have full calendars, because if they don't, I am wasting money. If they don't have full calendars, they are not closing deals when they could be. Likewise, on the flip side of that, if I'm spending and their calendars are too full, I'm wasting money because nobody can book a call. Call cost is way too high. And so I just want to kind of show you why we do this. So for example, let's say Mark let us know, hey, normally I take 6 calls a day, but on Wednesday, my kid has an appointment, so I can only take 3 calls on Wednesday, right? And Tony said, hey, normally I take 6 calls a day, but on Thursday, I'm gonna actually take 8 calls because I'm gonna work a little bit of overtime. I need to, pay some bills. And then Laura said, hey, normally I'm taking calls on Saturday, but this week I gotta go to a soccer game, so I'm gonna adjust that, right? And so I'm filling this out proactively for the next week. This is extremely important because down here, this now tells us the total number of calls that are taken in a week, and that is just total booked calls, right? But because there's a 40% no-show rate, we actually need to adjust this number up, right? Because we actually need more than just to book 125 calls. We need to book 120 divided by 0.4. We needed to book 29.8 calls a day, right? And not just 24, 21, 26, 24, 0, and 6. We need to book actually 29.8 calls in a day. And the reason for that is that ads are always running. So even if we're not taking calls on a Saturday, in this case, we're still booking calls on a Saturday. And so I just need to know the number for the paid media team. Hey guys, this is how many booked calls we need per day on average for the next 7 days. Then I can actually pull the budget that's needed to support that if we keep the call cost at $200 per call. So this is the first piece. It's like between sales and marketing, you guys have to be talking, right? You have to know where the budgets are. The second piece is that down here, I started to think about, okay, now with our sales reps' performance, what can we actually anticipate making back on this ad spend? So if all things go according to plan and everybody plays to their strengths and hits their numbers, how much money are we making next week? Well, Mark, like we said, is a killer closer. He's going to actually have 27 slots, but we're going to book 45 calls to fill those slots, right? Because of the no-show rate. It's going to cost us, $9,000 to book those calls, but he's going to close nine and a half deals, probably 9. His revenue is going to be 70 grand. And so that's actually a 7.8x return on our money if Mark takes all the calls, right? So that's Mark's numbers. Whereas if I go down here to poor Bob took more calls. We actually spent more to book Bob's calendar because he had 30 calls on the week. But since he closed at 5%, he's only closing a deal, maybe 2 deals, and his return is 1.13. So I'm actually losing $100 on Bob. But not only am I losing $100, I'm actually missing about $53,000 in revenue, because down here, if Mark, our top performer, if everybody performed like Mark, we'd be making an additional $81,000 on the week if everybody could just close like Mark at 35%. And so what if Bob all of a sudden, we're at 132K profit. What if Bob all of a sudden decided to have a killer week and close at 25%? Well, we just made ourselves an extra 30 grand, right? And so you can see how these numbers actually shake out. And what's really interesting about this is that people are slow to fire. They're slow to fire sales reps. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. It'll just take a couple weeks. Unfortunately, a lot of times they never do figure it out. And every week that they don't figure it out, you're leaving so much money on the table in opportunity costs because somebody else could be taking those calls and closing them. I put in a couple other sliders in here because a lot of times what happens is, we say it's $200 a call and then maybe ads have a bad week, right? We can kind of see how that shakes out profit wise. Or maybe ads have a really good week and we get $60 calls, right? We can see how that shakes out profit wise as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what I think is extremely important to factor in is this rep performance and how it changes. So you don't have to use a tool like what I made here, but if you're an ads team or you're running ads to fill a sales team, your main priority has to be communicating with that sales team on ROAS per rep, and also how many slots do we have available, in the next day, next 3 days, next week. Where are we at with what the marketing team needs to provide for the sales team in order for everybody to get fed? And that piece, it seems so simple, yet for whatever reason, most marketing teams aren't doing it. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Like, subscribe, follow along. I'm making more of these this year, and I'm really just trying to help everybody level up. So peace.